Good morning and welcome. This is Cheche, the show where opinion counts, live on Citizen TV. I'm your host, Uduaka Mimo. So, 19 days to the general election, and politicians are working flat out, making all sorts of promises to win your votes. Last week, we focused on the accusations and counter-accusations between the two main political camps. This week, we're focusing on the issues that will decide the election outcome. Our guests are Macharia Gaivo, a veteran media executive and columnist, and Joseph Kwaka, the Chief Executive Officer of Community Aid, an organization that is championing social vetting, which we'll be hearing about. Our panelists, Mutegi Njau and Charles Diambo, both of Royal Media Services, are with us and will be sharing their opinions. So, good morning, gentlemen, and welcome.
Good morning.
Macharia, it's a pleasure to have you with us. You sometimes seem to bear the burden of this country in your column. So what will be the deciding factors for you in this general election?
I think the deciding factor really will be what might have changed since the last election. We have the same pair, Uhuru and Ruto versus Raila and Kalonzo. And basically, they were very close last time. What has changed? What dynamics have changed? Where has the ground shifted in terms of political loyalties? If we can determine that, we can actually determine how the poll will go.
You're arguing about systems and processes this week, though.
Yes.
To what extent?
In that, like I was saying, it does not matter who prints the ballot papers. It could be Algivrai printers. But what safeguards are there to ensure that the correct number of ballot papers are printed in the right sequence? There is no over-ordering of ballot papers, and they're distributed in the proper way. The other thing is that election rigging is not just about old-fashioned ballot stuffing. That will be very easily be detected, because that is all you have then.
That's Mutegi's preferred method, though.
That is okay. Mutegi is very analog. Because that is where you have some ridiculous voter turnout. I think election rigging now, at least from our last two elections, the danger points are the counting, the tallying, and the transmission of the numbers.
Let me come to you, Joseph. What are your issues?
I think last election was determined by the biggest issue then was the IEC thing. This time, and as last time, ethnicity is still a big factor.
Oh.
Turnout is also another factor. How will be the voter turnout in the areas where the contenders have what they call the strongholds? But of course, Kenyans are waking up. I mean, the middle class is becoming more critical. It is growing, and people are beginning to be more analytical and thinking of what really do we want. Do we still want corruption? Don't we want to have somebody who can fight corruption? But also the other issues such as poverty. We want somebody who can tackle our poverty, because Kenya is not where it ought to be in terms of development. And also service delivery. People want services to be delivered efficiently, and they want somebody who can do that. I think those are some of the issues that will determine the election.
Panelists, let me come to you. What will be the deciding factors for you to determine the outcome of the election? Mutegi.
Tribalism, ethnicity. People vote their man or their woman, but the determining factor, there is a lot of change because of the young people, and also there is social media. I don't know how much influence it will be, but if you look at the social media now, there's a lot of hatred going on there. There's a lot of serious communication which was not there before. Will those sway, particularly young people? There is also inroads being made all over. Unlike 2013.
Inroads by what or whom?
Both groups. There is a lot of inroads being done by
the traditional.
The traditional. Yes. So you find a lot of, say for instance, Mairu, where I come from, a lot of people who will get much more votes than last time. The same way that the president will get more votes in Kisii and the coast. So those are the factors.
Okay.
For me, The issue that will determine this election is the credibility of IEBC. All these other factors that my colleagues have mentioned will play a major role, but the credibility of the body that is conducting the polls will determine the ultimate result in this election. Because should there be the issue of tribalism and the votes are not taken care of or are not counted in the right way, like Macharia said earlier, are not tallied in the right way, then the turnout would be an exercise in futility, because already the scales will have been tilted. So to me, the main issue is the credibility of IEBC. Everything else plays under that.
Why are we having issues with the IEBC? What mistake have they made?
They have not made any mistake. Only they need to make sure that they do not make any mistakes.
I think IEBC has made a lot of mistakes, and that is why we're having so many issues.
Yeah.
Simply because of their own unpreparedness and their own bungling of the procurement of voter materials or the electronic systems. Remember, it started with what do they call it?
The Kings.
The BVRs?
The BVRs, the Kims. That was bungled, and they ended up going for direct procurement. In a way which reminded me very much of what happened in the past with
2013.
2013, exactly the same scenario was played out. Then it came to the ballot papers. Again, there were delays, and they decided, let's go for direct procurement. Again, that raised the issues. Now, if they had not bungled at those stages, the issues we're seeing now would not have arisen.
Why is it?
And the suspicions we are seeing now would not have arisen.
You know, Woodwork, when we were talking about issues that will determine this election, Mr. Odhiambo has brought us to another angle which we were not thinking of. We were assuming that IEBC will do it correctly. But the problem
I would like to give them a benefit of doubt.
The problem is that IEBC has not done it correctly in the last 2 elections. So this is
a new outfit.
Yeah, a new outfit with the same systems, same equipment, same things, but just individuals are different. But even the individuals are only different.
The scenarios played out in the last elections are the same ones we are seeing today.
Yeah.
Of bungling.
Yeah. In fact, I pity IEBC because out there, if they had to do opinion poll on IEBC, I think they will find that IEBC is very unpopular.
Actually, after 2010, when Kenyans promulgated the new constitution, the constitution we have now, their ratings were very high. Then it took a dip after the elections and all the rest. But be that as it may, I think we need to give credit to IEBC. They have done quite a lot. You remember the other time the commissioner was here, Commissioner Kombe. My issue was communication. They are doing so much, but they are not communicating. So there is a vacuum of information, and Macharia, a veteran in information, will tell you whenever there is a vacuum of information, there is always misinformation.
And that is why, Mutegi, I believe you were springing to the defense of the IEBC, because our guest, the Commissioner Kombe, came in under a cloud of you know, the IEBC is not doing this, that or the other, and the credibility is in doubt. And once we heard what they'd been doing, Charles then, you know, jumped on the communication bandwagon, and they gave themselves an 8 out of 10, because you have to remember that the previous commission was ousted. They've had what, I think they're now in the 10 months, so they had to play catch up. But of course, Joseph, you're making the argument that the commissioners are different, but the secretariat is the same.
Yeah, you see, when the elections are to be rigged and if IEBC has to play a role.
When elections are to be rigged, you expect elections to be rigged?
No, I'm saying, should it be rigged,
okay,
it will not be so much the commissioners that will be rigging the election, it will be the secretariat, the technical people. They're the ones who handle the computers, they're the ones who handle the numbers and so on, you see. So it is not about this is a new commission. This is the same commission to me.
And there's a lot that they're doing or not doing that simply tends to raise suspicion. Look at, for instance, the availability of the voters' roll. They have said it is available. I have been at Nation, we have been trying to get to buy it, and we keep on being run around.
So that's a promise that the commissioner has
what they say,
here they come and say you can buy the voters' roll.
Yeah, the banker's check of 20,000.
The money is ready. You go there, you're swung from officer to officer. Then you're told, come tomorrow. Oh, now you go to vote for, oh, you have to write an official letter. What's the point? They're told it is online. You go to the online portal, it is not there.
My point exactly. Communication, credibility.
Why do you think they are doing this? Why that bunkering you are talking about? Why is it? Is it because of ineptitude or is it because of corruption?
Whether it is ineptitude or corruption, I don't know.
And that's a promise that the commissioner broke, because you recall that I believe she said that within 4 days of being on the show, that the register would be made available.
Yeah,
and
it's actually available online.
It is not.
It is. I saw it last night.
No, what you saw is not the register. It is simply a list of numbers of registered voters by ward. Go and open it again and see.
What did you expect to get?
What is a voters register? It is a register of people who are registered to vote.
The names?
No, the names are not there.
No.
It is the numbers.
As at 11 p.m. last night,
it was not there.
It was there. It was actually blinking. It was the latest.
Did you open it?
I tried to open it. It was taking too long.
Okay. You say you did not open it. Well, those who opened it say it was not the register. It was simply a list of numbers of the registered number of voters per ward. It was not the register by name.
Well, the register is not available. If it was available, some of our colleagues in the civil society would not have gone to court to force the IBC to avail the register publicly.
Okay. So therefore, we've come to one crucial determinant of the election, the IBC.
Certainly.
But two of you, I believe Joseph and Mutegi, talked about ethnicity.
That's a given. That's a given. The thing is, what I said is what might have changed. In 2013, people voted largely on ethnic lines for the same political formations. Between then and now, what has changed in terms of people's ethnic attitudes? And as Mutegi was saying, to what extent might Jubilee have managed to penetrate NASA zones? To what extent might NASA have made inroads into what are Jubilee zones? We don't know yet. He says that there has been some significant shift in Meru or some significant shift in Kisii. I don't see it from the. We see it from the rallies. I don't see it from the poll numbers.
But the rallies, aren't they rent-a-crowds?
Rallies are rent-a-crowds. Rallies. Today, if you have somebody out here shouting nonsense, you'll see 1 million people, and that does not mean that they're going to vote for him. As simple as that.
I'm wondering, gentlemen, do you think whoever lied most or best would tilt the scale in their favor? Whoever spilled the most lies about their opponent?
Discredited their
Discrediting their opponent.
Well, that's what politics is about. That's what our mode of campaigning is about. It is about not just saying what you will do, but about discrediting your opponent. And if you can tell a lie that sticks,
well, the truth is waiting to get its pants on.
Well, to me, apart from what Mr. Diambo talks about, whoever lies the best or whoever lies the most, I think the top candidates, the top contenders, the President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, should take advantage of the platform being created by the media on the presidential debate to really appeal to voters out there. Because when the election is so close, when the competition is so tight the way it is right now, there are some voters out there who can change their mind depending on what you say and how you say it, how you appeal to them. And I think they need to take advantage of that.
There are those who would argue that that's negligible, but let's park the media for a minute so that we can deal with it.
That undecided vote will be the determinant. The last two polls, one by Infotrack, the other one by Ipsos, showed an undecided vote of 8%.
Between 8 and 12%.
That will be the determinant.
But if we're coming back to tribalism, though, why do we seem not to have, dealt with this decisively? Why is this such a feature still, more than 50 years?
I think, first of all, because we are foolish. Kenyans are foolish. Right. Because we are still stuck in that rut. And we allow politicians to pigeonhole us wholly into tribes. We think that if Uhuru becomes president, we stand to benefit because we are Kikuyus. We think that if Raila becomes president, we stand to benefit because we are Luos. Yet if we look back to history, it has not happened. It has not happened that way. I don't think Jomo Kenyatta's presidency benefits the Kikuyus. A few close to him, a few of the elite and relatives close to him. Same for Moi. The ordinary Kalenjin did not benefit.
And ironically, a number of Luos, a few Luos benefited from Jomo Kenyatta's presidency.
To me, ethnicity is still there as something that is characterizing us as a third world country, as a developing democracy. And I'm so joyous that it is something that we will soon call a thing of the past. Maybe in the next election, maybe in the
Why do you think that it's going to be a thing of the past?
No,
what gives you hope?
What gives me hope is that some of the characters that are in the scene right now, the dominating ones, will be out of the scene perhaps in the next election. And then we will begin to talk about ideology, we will begin to talk about values and principles and what the person seeking our votes will be bringing to us, rather than he is our man, he is from our tribe and so on.
You don't think that any up-and-coming young politicians would simply inherit, excuse me please, the tribal base, the tribal rhetoric, and carry on?
I don't think so. I don't think the clout that Raila Odinga has in Luoland and in places where he has support, somebody else can inherit that. I don't think Uhuru Kenyatta, what he has now, the influence he has in Mount Kenya region, will be inherited by somebody else. I think somebody else will come on a different platform altogether. And I'm very happy about that, that we are a third world, we are going on that way, but we have hope that ideology will soon overtake ethnicity.
Because, first of all,
Mutegi, you're supporting this?
Yeah, I'm supporting because young people are registering to vote. And many of those young people do not know the history of Jomo Kenyatta and Jaramogi. And they don't care anyway. There are a lot of people who don't care. If you see the postings in the Facebook or social media, a lot of young people are saying no. So, but
Mutegi, Mutegi, even as you think in that line, ask yourself, who fights the other when there is a fight between political protagonists? Is it the older people? It's the young people. But those are the same young people who are still incited that this is not our person, let's fight him. They go out and fight. So what will change?
No, to me that is fanatism, and that fanatism is not with a significant number. This is a small group of people who are around these politicians.
No, what worries me is that if we take social media now as a benchmark and as probably the principal source of communication for young people, look at the hatred there. Look at the ethnic bile there. What does that tell you?
Tribal hatred.
Those are young people who probably grew up in urban areas and went to mixed schools.
And are dating people of the opposite tribes
who live in the diaspora and have lived there for many years, and yet they are the ones spreading that ethnic bile.
But also, apart from bile, there is also positive things. There are many positive things being said in that social media about, say for instance, Meru young people talking nice things about Raila. That to me is very encouraging.
There's hope in this country.
That's very encouraging.
Where does your social vetting come in?
Social vetting comes in because we are looking for good leadership, for good governance. We know that when Chapter 6 of the Constitution, leadership and integrity, was taken to Parliament for actualization through an Act of Parliament, that parliamentarians deliberately watered it down, so that because they don't want to be caught in it. And so right now, those who will be elected, and that's another determinant, somebody who has money the most, who has the biggest amount of money to campaign. And so today we have even very corrupt people, those whose pasts are tainted, have scandals, have been involved in corruption, going to be elected because of that. But we have hope in social vetting because we are mobilizing communities out there, and we are facilitating them to form panels of eminent persons within those counties, and those panels are going around conducting public hearings and giving out questionnaires and inviting the public to write anonymous writings.
How does it work? You've talked about, for instance, the fact that people who are alleged or perceived to be corrupt are running for office. So in the case of candidate X, who is supposedly corrupt, how does social vetting play?
Social vetting exposes these individuals because people begin to say that so and so, we know when he was principal of this school, he stole some money and he had a case about him, and so that case must be highlighted now so that people could know what they're voting for, the kind of person they want to vote into public office. And I remember last election when we did it in one of the counties, there was a lady who was using her late sister's certificate because she never completed high school, and she changed her name and adopted her late sister's name And when
Charles knows the county.
Yes, maybe he knows. when the political party that had given her a ticket learned of it, they withdrew the ticket and gave to somebody else, to another lady. And so it works.
Do you think it would have worked if that lady in question was an independent candidate and has money?
It would have
worked. Denied her the certificate?
It would have worked still, because the report that is compiled by these panels, those reports end up being submitted to IBC, EACC, EAC, and other organizations that are supposed to take further action on them. So it can still work, even if that person was an independent candidate.
So how do you select where you apply your social vetting? Because I think you're working with 12 counties at the moment.
Yes, we are working with 12 counties. Do you want me to count those counties so that they can know, please? We are working in Kajiado, we are working in Meru, Murang'a, Kitui, Taita Taveta, Kwale, Kilifi, Siaya, Busia, Homa Bay, Bomet, and Elgeyo Marakwet. Those are 12 counties.
And these 12 counties feature, I think, on other lists, flashpoints for violence?
Not necessarily. We randomly selected these features on the basis of the
It's a coincidence.
It's a coincidence. I don't think we selected them on the basis of being hotspots for violence and so on. But we wanted to find out how can we expand to 12. The next election we can expand to maybe 40 and so on. Yeah.
What legal status do you have?
What legal status do we have? What is the constitutional basis? I think that's what you should ask me. What is the constitutional basis of this?
Yeah.
I mean, Chapter 1 of the Constitution gives wananchi sovereignty over all affairs affecting their lives, whether they want that sovereignty to be exercised indirectly through elected leaders or they want to exercise it directly. Article 35 of the Constitution, as you know, Mutegi, talks about access to information. And how good can it be? It's very good, I think, when wananchi demand information about the person they want to vote for, because this person is eventually going to decide things that will affect their life, the policies, the laws, the development programs, and so on. So why don't they seek information about these people before actually they elect them? It's about selection before electing.
Yeah, that's all very well. But unfortunately, the institutions that should be enforcing
the ones that are receiving the reports of the vetting
panels have all conspired to make sure it doesn't work. The political parties, the IBC, the Anti-Corruption Commission,
the DPP's office,
the DPP, the CID, all of them have conspired to make sure that the integrity provisions do not work.
So can we say, therefore, because it sounds like integrity is also a determinant in this election, but it also dovetails with something, in fact, two things you said: corruption, but also people becoming more aware of, becoming more politically conscious and more aware of their power, as it seems we saw during the party primaries.
On the contrary, if you ask me, that would contribute to a minimal share of the outcome, because what Joseph and his team are doing is a very good thing. It's a very noble thing. But we have 19 days to an election. Look at what's the issue
and they're working in just 12 out of 47
They're working
counties.
in 12 out of 47 counties. Look at what's happening out there. Look at some of the candidates, some who are very popular, leading probably in opinion polls in various seats. There are people who have tainted images. So this is a brilliant idea. I don't think social vetting will determine a great percentage of this year's.
It can be, it can be useful, and it is a very good initiative. However, if you look at the way the nominations went, Kenyans don't care. They say if he's a thief, he's our thief.
He's our thief.
We have to take a break now. I'll allow you to defend social vetting when we come back. This is Cheche, and we're live on Citizen TV. It's the season of political promises, but tell us what issue will decide the election outcome for you. Our SMS number is 22422. You can reach us on Twitter as well. The hashtag is Cheche.